What's up, everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of Just Chris Podcast. This is episode 15, and I figured after maybe like 5, 6, maybe 7 episodes not having a guest that I decided to bring a fantastic guest on. Now, my guest and I, we went to school together, lived on the same hallway together, been in the same extracurriculars together, and I call him, my numbers guy, my stock guru. Ladies and gentlemen, I have Thaddaus Breckenridge. What's up, Thad? How y'all doing? Or how you doing today?
What's going on? Pleasure to be here. Thank you, brother.
Dude, I'm happy you're coming on. I've been talking about it like that. I got to get you on the podcast, and you have a podcast of your own, which I've been listening to for a while. And it's about time our worlds collided, and we're here together on it.
Absolutely. I mean, whenever you got yours vamped up, it really motivated me to get mine revamped up from taking such a long break on it. So, it was time.
Yeah, most definitely, dude. Yeah, dude, I'm a big fan of the podcast. I think you cover a lot of great topics. You kind of want to give a little spiel on yours, maybe break it down a little bit?
Yeah. So Black enrichment, which is Black enrichment, like you would have a curriculum, but we coined the term Black enrichment. So a lot of the things is where here in Appalachia, where people say that there is no money, there is no resources, there's no growth to be there. I like to not only tell you that there is accessibility to a market within West Virginia and Appalachia entirely, but also for Black people as well. West Virginia specifically, we are at 3.6% of the population, but I do believe that there is economic opportunities with being 20% plus populations in towns like Beckley, Charleston, Morgantown, and more like that. So it's really just creating that bond of unity, that network code, and a resource for people to come to when they feel like there is nobody there around them that feels that they have the same views.
How long have you been doing that podcast for? Because you mentioned that, you revamped it up after I got started on mine.
Yeah.
But you've had it for a while, right?
Yeah, I have. Originally, it was IOU, understand, overstand, understand. I started that probably towards the end of 2019, and took a break after I came back to school. I got on it one time during school, but since then I had taken a break, and then I had just gotten started. I said actually at the beginning of the pandemic I was going to do it, and then when you literally put the boots on the ground, I was like, okay, man, I got to get on here too. This is time.
How's it been recording at school as opposed to being at home recording?
It's been definitely interesting. I got a lot of stuff on my plate, but at the same time, it kind of gives me more motivation to do it because this is a time where people are looking for like the stuff that we're talking about on the daily. They want that content to consistently come out, especially when it's coming from young voices like us and the perspective that we lay it down. So I think that it's only right that I still try and do that. And I feel so great when I do it. And when I finally got that first podcast done on campus, now I've just been motivated to do more, and I'm really starting to get back into my weekly content.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. What I was telling people from the jump, like when I first started mine, like the hardest part for me was just getting started.
Yeah.
And then once you get started and you start like, getting in the groove of it, it's not that much of a challenge. Like week after week, like here and there, like I'll still kind of run into some problems where like I don't feel all that motivated to put out an episode, but then I'll just like take a few minutes, relax, and be like, okay, like I'm feeling good about the content. I planned for this all week. So yeah, dude. What do you have any goals in mind for the podcast? Anything you're looking to get out of it specifically?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, right now we're listened to across 9 countries. So my goal for the end
Wow.
of my goal for the end of this year is to be at the 20 mark. I want to get a lot of my viewers up. I want to get probably about 5 to 10 advertisements of local businesses. Of course, I have like a little anchor segment for advertisement. Another local woman has actually given me the opportunity to put her advertisements on there. And now we're starting to
Really?
we're actually really starting to work out some marketing there. So I'm learning marketing strategies on how to advertise and sell that to people. And at the same time, people are having confidence in me and my audience and some of the conversations that I'm having that they want their businesses represented on there. So ultimately, I mean, it might get a little annoying for the listeners, but I'd like to have up to 10 advertisements on my broadcast by the end of the year. So that's some of my goals, to get around 20 countries and around 10 advertisements of local talent and entrepreneurship.
That's awesome, dude. That's a great goal. 9 countries already, looking to get 20, dude. And that's crazy. I think it's awesome how you can kind of like see the analytics and like how it's broken down, especially on Anchor, because I use that as well. So to see that and then to go on like Spotify and the Apple Connect and see it like a more detailed description's wild.
Exactly. And it holds us more accountable as content creators, because then we know who our audience is and how we can tailor our audience to be more lay and not have to make everything so much of an academic, strenuous experience. We should be doing that for them. Like you said, some of the hardest things to do is start the podcast. So we want to make
Exactly.
it as easy as a listening experience for our listeners by bringing that good content that's very hardcore to them in a vast area.
Do you have a lot of interest from students on campus with your podcast?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I had Calvin and one of his hometown homies on my 2 podcasts ago. And
Okay.
then I've had even more people saying on campus, yo, I want to talk about this, or even requesting something that they want to hear about. So I've been hearing about now that I'm kind of started to lay the foundation. A lot of people want to hear right into the financial game, a lot of the stuff that you talk about. So now we're starting to see where requests are coming in. People want to be a part of it. People back home on Facebook also want to be a part of it. So now it's just coming to a point of like, I'm picking my guests. Maybe
Right.
before I was in a drought per se of finding guests, and it was really just me creating the content. But now a lot of people are enjoying it, liking the stuff that I talk about. They want to be a part of it by choosing the topic or being a part of the next topic.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome to see that like those people are wanting to get involved.
Shoot, dude, I lost my train of thought for a second here. Before we go further into that stuff, which I would love to kind of hit back on, you want to give a little background on yourself?
Yeah, so
Maybe like where you're from, what you're involved in, sports, what are you studying, any extracurriculars?
yeah, definitely. I mean, originally, from Chicago, grown up here most of my life though, here in West Virginia, Southern West Virginia, Beckley, and played sports, about 6 sports in high school. But I came to Davidson Elkins College to run track and field. I ran my first year as a freshman with academic all honors, had some records as a pioneer of the program, but thankful enough, we actually had a program and a lot of people beat those records. But then I moved on to debate and forensics, and where I was the president of the debate society for 3 years. And we turned the team from around 2 to 4 people to traveling team about like 20 people. So that was a really big galvanization and part of my experience in college. And then from there on out, I just stepped down from the president of the debate society to run for vice president of student assembly. And now I have achieved that, and I've been doing that for the entire year now since I was elected in October. And with that, I've turned over on the debate role from competing to judging and coaching. So I'm judging
Okay.
about 4 or 5 different high schools right now. I actually have a tournament tomorrow morning. I believe it's the state tournament, if I'm not mistaken. But I have about 4 or 5 debaters in there that I individually prep and tutor. And then I also specifically kind of judge under the Elkins High School. So I'm their judge and volunteer coach, but I have multiple debaters all around. So yeah, now a lot of stuff I've been doing is community service. I just got a position as a titles and deeds researcher over at Triplet and Triplet Law. So
Okay.
yeah, that was a really
That's
good
awesome,
thing.
dude.
Yeah, that just happened.
Congratulations.
Appreciate that. That just happened this week. So now I'm starting to really get into real estate with interest rates dropping, as the Fed's
Yep.
doing. A lot of people are anticipated to start refinancing and start checking on lien taxes against properties that they're pursuing. So it's a really hot market right now, and I'm glad to be a part of it and getting those numbers and networking so that I can branch on to the next part of my career in my life as I graduate this spring.
That's awesome. It's great to see that, or great to hear that you're doing all these incredible things. I mean, even when we were in school together, you were doing big things back then, but it sounds like you've ramped it up, dude. I'm curious, how do you like manage all of it together? Like, how are you properly manage your time, or like to be like efficient as possible with it?
Well, Siri is the best secretary on earth. If nobody knows that, she is. For some, just be able to hold the home button and just start having reminders constantly there. I make sure that I keep about one big calendar, one small pocketbook calendar to just always have some reminders. And literally, I try to write everything. I don't try and think about it and remember it or just set an alarm and say, what was I supposed to do? I literally
Mhm.
write post-it notes, pages on the front covers of books, whatever that can get my attention, and constantly make that my priority. And so I choose my priorities wisely because it's not so much that we procrastinate. Brother Eric Thomas said, it's just about how we choose our priorities and what we want to get. And on the show, Black Enrichment, I say all the time, you ain't got to be the next Bill Gates of the globe, but you can be the next Bill Gates of your block. You can be the next Beyonce of your block. So that's what I'm trying to pursue every single day of how can I obtain being the wealthiest one in my surroundings. Is anybody else doing that? No. Then I need to do it and I need to be more straight approached with it. Some people may slack, some people may sleep in. It's all respectable for people to do that because they may believe they have the same 24 hours as I, but I'm trying to chase something else. And so I'm always upping up the standard.
Dude, that's awesome. It sounds like you're doing awesome things. I'm happy for you, bro. I've been following it, and then, kind of since coronavirus happened, you really picked up your interest in the stock market as well. And dude, you continue, like, day after day, you continue to fascinate me with, like, the amount of work you put into it, the research. What kind of sparked your interest with that?
Well, I seen literally live that day when Bill Ackman had called in on CNBC to drop his concern for the coronavirus. And Chris, we had known that the COVID was dead on the debate circuit by early January. We were done prepping for that in December when it first came out, and we were literally coining the terms: Wuhan virus, not in a xenophobic or racist way, but because we were bringing connections and linking and arguments to what we were expecting other opponents to do. So we had already understood the severity of COVID from that distinct by mid-January. Well, Ben Ackman, we're home at this time. Bill Ackman calls in on CNBC, and he's concerned. He says, this is the worst thing I've ever heard of. It's bad. It's coming over here. And when it does, it's going to hurt. And that's what really started the trickle down effect. And he came out with $2.6 billion in puts from that moment.
He put out a lot.
So he had bounced back from that. And I was like, wait, so you're saying he bet against the market? And so now the Big Short from 2013, I think when it came out, 2011, 12, is now starting to make sense to me. Everything is starting to wrap around. And I'm like, hold up. And I'm not saying that Bill Ackman caused the crash, but when you see the influence of, what do they say, buy the rumor, trade the news, what that means, and everything's starting to come into play. And I said, well, I gotta get into this. This is so interesting. How can you still succeed when things look bad? So I started learning about the stock game. I started learning about the options game. I start really learning the difference between an asset and a liability. And when I started diversifying my mind, it made the application to not only stocks easier, but stocks in life, of how we're always trying to find value and things are based from the previous to the predict the future. And it's a wild ride. And so whenever I was intrigued to get a part of this wild ride, I took my dips, I took my losses, and I had a lot of good wins. Bro. I had a lot of good wins at the same time because I had the opportunity to do that. I had 2 checks come in from the school. I never would have had an opportunity like that for checks to come in at that amount in the close proximity of time that was there. So that was the best time to do it. And so I just went into it and I jumped in, and I've been having a good time ever since. And so I've made sure that I really invested on my knowledge as well at the same time.
Where do you get a lot of your research from? Is it from like a number of different places across the web, or do you kind of focus just on one place?
Stay on CNBC religiously. My TV stays on CNBC from Squawk Box 6 a.m. in the morning until Mad Money and even Shark Tank till I go to bed. But I say that to say this because at first when I started doing that, or even whenever you think of seeing CNBC as a child, it's boring. You don't know what's going on.
Right. Yeah.
And then things start to make sense as the language and the jargon is punched back at you repeatedly. Well, that's just how I learned off of debate as well. And when I start learning, well, it almost is like debate because I'm creating links, I'm understanding significance, I'm weighing harm, I'm looking at solvency. Does this company have the solvency? Now I'm starting to relate the debate game to the stock game, which is very funny because you know what we call it? We call it stock issues, about how we can articulate an argument that we're hearing in debate. And so I thought that was
Yeah.
very strange and interesting at the same time. But when I'm understanding that news is what's moving things, the economy at the same time is what's moving things, my perspective in everyday life is what's moving things, I could understand that I had just as much stake in it as anybody else. Meaning, when I invested in the company and I had confidence in it, that it was no different than I was having confidence in myself to make a move to bet on myself.
Right.
And when I made that similarity, then you start to understand the language of a corporation and an entity. And now you just see how deeply embedded that this game of the stock market, the economics, and the everyday labor force and workforce about how we keep things going actually run. And so my interest only got deeper and deeper. And so then I found Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad. So
Oh,
I went,
a classic, bro.
yeah,
A true
I went from
classic.
CNBC to a really good book. And believe it or not, I found that book on a free book rack at the library. Believe it or not.
No way.
That book and the financial instability book that I let you borrow were both on the
Yes.
free book rack.
No way, dude. I had no idea.
So I started hitting the free book rack again and
Whose
finding more
library
people.
funding it, dude?
Oh, dude, I'm finding old O'Leary books. I'm finding Marcus Lemonis books. I'm finding all these good game of the same people that I'm seeing shoot interviews on CNBC. Well, why do they have enough ethos or credibility to be on CNBC? And what are they talking about in 300 pages that I'm not getting in 3 minutes? So I'm really
Right.
starting to invest in myself and take that time. And I'm finding the similarities of what they're talking about. And then I see the similarities of what I'm going through in life. Because whenever I really understood the '08 crisis, I understood how I was a part of the '08 crisis. And now I'm starting to understand the importance of financial literacy to make sure that I can help predict those things before they come. So you find out the importance of those things because it's now life applying. It's now life concern. It's now historical prediction to the next. And you find you have just as much weight because you're experiencing it to be a part of something as volatile.
Dude, again, like I said, you just continue to impress me. Like I didn't know this side of the story, but now that I hear it, bro, like it's incredible. And you put in the work, and that's unreal to me. Like I see the work every day in our Discord chat, which I mentioned, I brought up in last week's episode. You know, I plugged the link, which I'll do in this week's episode as well. Do you kind of want to give a little synopsis of the Discord, maybe like highlights of it, things that are working? Because dude, like it's got it going on.
Well, the Discord is just it was actually a really motivational what we were trying to do, just checking up on each other, keeping each other alive when the stock market was red,
Right, like on our Snapchat group chat.
And
Yep.
And it revolutionized from that to, I recognize how you were asking one of the brothers in there, what's this morning star recommendation? And then I would see how we would all ask each other something that made us more confident in the research that we were conducting.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like in a way, we're like a hedge fund that's not a hedge fund, but we're so invested in being and seeking financial literacy that we're holding each other accountable. We're going to literally come back on an instant messaging surface like a Snapchat or a Discord or Reddit and say, that's total BS. What you advised was total BS. And then everybody else in the community of the chat understands, well, that dude is BS. And I understood how important something like a Discord would be whenever I watched Streets of Dreams, the first episode with Marcus Lemonis on CNBC. He was there on West 47th Street in New York at the Diamond Dealers Club. And they was like, yeah, up here, there's no laws. The only law is that whenever you trade a diamond over the phone, you say Masal Braka, which means good luck and good blessing. And then you pay the money days after that. If you don't pay the money days after that, you're sent on a worldwide email and you're banned.
Dang.
And I'm like, yo, the code is that strong? But at the same
pay
time,
days after.
Just a couple days, one time. That's it. Nobody's killing nobody, no mob stuff, nothing. You're never going to sell a diamond to anybody in the world again. So
that's unreal, dude.
When I saw how something like that could be affected and just tainted just like that, then I could start seeing the communication in the Discord of somebody being literally kicked out. You don't even got to kick them out. They're just seen as uncredible.
Yeah.
And that's the code, is credibility, authenticity, and transparency is the code. That's all Discord is. We've been able to create those different channels that create people putting in different information. And I was at another Discord and I saw them put in money to buy Options Fanbot, which just helps them find alerts on different things without them having to do the extensive research that it takes. So they put in 450. Well, I've been speaking about the term Ujamaa meetings that Dr. Jawanza Kinjufu talked about people coming to meetings together and putting $100 in the bucket and agreeing to do business with each other. And the best business plan is the one that gets all of that money. And that's the precondition, is that everybody that puts in the pot, you have to agree to do business with, just like the Diamond Dealers Club. And I'm like, this is the connection. This is the connection of both. This is how you tie economics and socio-cultural significance together, because nothing is going to be more important or take over human communication. You hear me? Deep learning, machine learning, all that is going to be very invested in. AI is probably one of the best innovation things you can right now as stock market and company-wide.
100%, dude. I agree with that.
When it comes to human communication, nothing can piss off somebody. Excuse me for saying that.
Oh, you're fine.
Nothing can upset somebody like hearing the tone of another human. You hear a robot, is what it is. You see the codes and the numbers, you're just getting fed. You hear the tone of a person, things change. You see somebody leave out a certain word, spell a certain word one way, put out a grammatical error on purpose or accidental. That changes your alter or perspective of thinking. So as long as we still have that communication and we're still having choice and we're still talking to each other to create confidence instead of trying to feed an AI system or trying to extenuate our own individual selves to find all the knowledge and research in the world, instead to just work together. Just work together, build a foundation together, communicate with one another, cheer with one another, and cry with one another. But understand, it's going to be us since the beginning, and it's going to be us till we out. You may be in the casket alone, but you need other people's money for you to make money, because that's a service, that's a product, that's entrepreneurship. So if you really want to make that money, understand you have to build those same conditions and communication relationships with other people so that it can literally flow like the cash flow. You understand? Right. So that was a really great part about the Discord.
Yeah, the Discord is an incredible idea. I mean, I've been telling people left and right about it. Like, I kind of have people reach out to me here and there, like, oh, what's your take on this? Like, what can I do to get more involved in the stock market? What's your take on Robinhood? Which, at this point in my podcast, people know my take on Robinhood. But I always recommend them to the Discord. Like, I plug the Discord link, and I think probably over the past week, 2 or 3 people have joined it. And they get back to me like, yo, like, super impressed with the work that's put into it. Like, especially the morning watch list. Like, that's incredible. Like, that's something I look forward to every morning. Like, you post the screenshots of what to look for and like the paragraph stating like why it should be on the list. It's great, dude. It's really great.
And the fact too is like, it's just like mining with a lot of these cryptocurrencies, just like Bitcoin. You had to put in for it to be on the surface and for it to have that value. The only reason why that Discord has value is because people are willing to pitch in that one. You think about it. If you have 200 people in a Discord chat and one person screenshots a win, a loss, and some meme that they saw off of the internet that had to do with some of the stuff that we do off of Guard Capital, Stock Shark. If everybody does that, you literally have a database of information. You don't have to go Google and search to the 15th page because you got 15 pages in your Discord channel because everybody's donating just one ounce of effort. And so you see all the resources that it can just come from just literally 10%, 10% of effort, 10% of your day, just a little bit of that. What that Discord channel can become, just like a cryptocurrency that has value like Bitcoin or Pi, where you literally do stuff off of your phone to make the community have strength. Things like that. So I think it's just another testament to that.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, time will show that. Like, I think the Discord's going to get a lot larger than where it's at now. Like, I'm not 100% on like the numbers that it's looking at right now, but like from where it was when we transitioned out of the Snapchat group chat with I think like 5 or 6 people to the Discord now, like it's grown. And it's a bummer that like not everyone transitioned out of the Snapchat group message to Discord, but I've seen that since that transition, like we've been able to bring in more people to it. People that are like more invested or have more input. And it's great to see. And it's great to see, like, especially like college kids, like kids that we go to school with or went to school with, like they're in there, like getting involved with it, asking questions. It's awesome.
And you can enter at your own level. You know, if you trade only ETFs and you want to start learning about individual stocks, we have channels for that. If you want to start expanding to crypto, we have channels for that. You know, soon once we get enough interested members, we'll have a Forex channel. You know, and so it's the interest that breeds the supply and the programs and the resources that we have. And that's all it is. It's just an awesome, efficient.
It definitely is. And, you know, you mentioned a minute ago about the machine learning and AI, and I think that's an incredible thing. And actually, one of my friends that he still goes to DNE now, he's doing his senior thesis for finance, and he's doing it on machine learning and how it's helping the stock market. And I intend on getting him on the podcast once he finishes up with that and kind of getting him to get on and speak too. But I'm going to reach out to him, try to get him on the Discord as well.
Oh yeah, that sounds crazy right there, especially whenever you talk about how deeply embedded AI is and really the basis of it, because you know a lot of the innovation that we have is from the military. And not to make anybody feel no type of way, it just shows like where we are today at 2021, that something like Robinhood could happen. An issue like Robinhood really happened from an economy that, you know, just in the 1920s was literally printing out Dewey Decimal System of Morse codes for stock orders, you know?
Yeah, really. It's crazy to see, dude. It's crazy to see the evolution of not only like the stocks over this past year, but it's awesome to see like how you've transitioned, how you've developed into kind of the person you are today, and like all the stuff you've done to get to where you are, especially, I mean, not only just like finance, but doing things as your extracurriculars as well. And hearing about your interview with the lawyer or with the attorney's office the other day. It's awesome.
Dude, we're just like the stock market. We're either getting better or we're getting worse. The best thing you can possibly do is don't get too low where you dip to zero, and don't get so high you pop a bubble. Just stay steady. Stay steady. Understand what is in front of you, and understand every day you're either getting better or getting worse, but move accordingly. Please move accordingly.
That's great, dude. I'm going to write that down. That's getting hung up in my room, to be honest with you, Thad.
We'll get some embroidery. Let's get some t-shirts going on.
There we go, dude. Discord t-shirts. There we go. We're starting up with the merch, dude. We got it rolling already.
Hey, we got it.
Do you have any influences, like any positive influences that have kind of like helped you along, or people that you've looked up to when relating to the stock market and finance? Like, I know a ton of people, they're like, oh, like Warren Buffett, or I mean, it seems right now like Deep Value, the guy from Reddit, people are looking up to him.
Yeah. Dude, I like this is this dude called 19 Keys, who really started giving me a lot of motivation about like having groups, because he had a master class, and at first him and another dude in his group called the Shifters, they had this in-home banking class, and I took it. Mm-hmm. And I took this class actually on all OPM. I asked somebody for $400 and told them, I'm going to help you with your business when I take this class. So gave me the money, I take the class. And the stuff that I was learning in there was just ridiculous. And of course, it had a value on it. And so I had to realize, though, if I want to do something like this, I've identified the market, I've done my SWOT analysis, I'm ready to hit the people. I can't come out here because I feel that I'm valued for 55 an hour to just come out 55 an hour. I have to
Right.
start accordingly. I got to start with Facebook Live. I got to start with, at the time, in-person events. Then COVID came. So then I've got a whole community center that
This is what you were doing 2 summers ago. Is that correct?
yeah. Just this past, well, I started with the community center. That's where I started from the in-home banking with my partner to get the community center. We get that. So now I'm about to apply all those skills and start taking it as our own and start running the hub out of the community center. COVID comes. I can't use the community center, and we haven't established a foundation or a base enough to start taking it virtual. We can't pick it up. So now it's back on me trying to get my ethos and credibility up to spread out to the people. Well, at that point, it was literally going back to the drawing board. So I'm going back and looking at, the 19 keys courses and the stuff that he's saying and just seeing that he's just 10 tones down. And this is a dude that was making 6 figures in commissions. I think he was at Chanel. I think he was working at Chanel. And making 6 figures. And then he said, literally, I fired my job. I'm like, that's
fired your job.
Fired your job. I'm like, listen, that's talking a whole different type of game right there. Because he realized, like Robert Kiyosaki says, I'm lazy if the first thing that I do when I need money is go get a job. And so I thought the same way about my community center. If I need something separate than me to get something started for me, I got it all wrong. This brain is my strongest asset. Where it moves is where the money goes. It's just like Mansa Musa. Everywhere he walked, that was the richest place in the world at that time. So that's how I got to keep my mind. Everywhere that I move, I got to bring the value with me. So I started reinvesting back in myself, start getting back on the game, got into the stock market and just said, well, I don't have to tell 30 people to get along with 30 people in their local city to get their money up. Now I can start teaching them financial literacy and teaching them communicative relationships to start building wealth, to start literally taking their family and starting generational wealth instead of getting along with 30 other people. That is sometimes an issue, especially when something like COVID, to keep on going. So I'm just always staying innovative. So 19 Keys, Robert Kiyosaki, whenever he ain't acting like a dad sometimes, because he gets a little ranty sometimes. Earn Your Leisure, those 2 guys over there, they have an awesome podcast as well. That's another big influence of motivation. But really, it was this guy named Jason Black. He has this show called The Business on YouTube. And, he broke things down to a very simple thing called power dynamic. And not to just, keep on riffing about that, but just understanding, once again, assets and liability and making sure that you're leveraged. Always understanding where you're at, seeking to get better if you're not there, seeking to stay stable if you are there, and just staying at a constant flow. Because we always think about getting big. Getting rich big. And so that's the influencers we watch. We watch the guys with the Lamborghinis and the million book libraries and the 12-piece women, at a 10. That's the guys that we look to. And we're like, if I was to wake up like that tomorrow, just like a stock, if I fail, I'm crashing down. I'm like GameStop. If I go from $500 to $90, I'm going to be feeling sick. I was $10 to $500 yesterday, but $500 back down to $90 makes me sick.
It's tough, dude. They were up. I think they were up yesterday. On Thursday, I saw after hours they were up by 100%.
Yeah, they got
by after hours. I haven't had much time to look into it, but I don't know, bro. It's crazy.
Interesting small tickers like that. I mean, AMC caught a lot more attention, which
they did.
I felt AMC the whole time actually was doing something, and I say this because to say that $99 movie theater rentals, smart idea. They're getting their butts kicked in the streaming game. Okay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, now that Cuomo's opening up 25% of movie theaters in New York City. Now that they're actually bringing an innovative business model to open up theaters, you're probably going to start seeing a lot more birthday parties going into the summer. A lot of people more using that. And now that herd immunity is starting to be an expectable thing in April, it almost makes them look stupid for getting at retail investors the way that they did, because there was almost this at the same point no reason for people not to invest in AMC. And the thing that gets me about that too, I know we kind of switched topics. So I'm gonna just say that, and this is it. If they get mad about AMC and BlackBerry and all the rest, what happened to Hertz? And then Hertz went to the SEC and asked for $500 million in shares.
Really? What?
This is a slippery slope.
Dude, it's unreal.
Slope. It was a slippery slope. So yeah.
That's wild. It's crazy. It's like it's new crazy stuff every single day.
Every single day.
I feel like just over the past 2 weeks, past 3 weeks, bro, it's just like tripled, quadrupled, bro, like every day. It's wild.
Especially with crypto in it now, it's just a
dude.
Whole
crypto's getting big. I learned about what was the term called today? Non-fungible tokens.
Yeah,
I learned about that today. I was listening to a podcast. They brought that up, and I'm still in the process of trying to fully comprehend the concept to it.
Yeah,
but I mean, it sounds wild. I mean, it's probably not something I'm gonna dabble in, but to just view it from the outside and view like the amount of people that are going to it, and even like the amount of money that's being made off it is absurd. And it's crazy because I saw things being traded, like now it's relating sports to it. Like people are trading highlights for specific things, like LeBron James dunking. Like they're trading highlights.
Yeah, I saw that the other day too.
For massive cash.
You can do it live. Like within like 5 seconds of the next play, you can do a predicting bet or something like that and do that. Yeah, and I saw that. I don't forgot what it's called. Jock Market. It's a thing
Jock
on
Market. I haven't heard of
Instagram.
That.
It's called Jock Market, which is basically kind of the same thing, where they rate players by literally like every single game. So stock rises and drops by each game.
Huh. That's interesting.
Dude, it's crazy.
It's crazy. It is crazy to see how many people are really getting involved with it now. Which leads into the next thing I want to ask. Do you have any advice for people that are new to investing? Any new retail investors? Maybe like they're just getting their startup on Robinhood, really wanting to get involved. Do you have anything for those people?
Do your fan favor. When you first start investing, if you have bought Nike, buy Nike.
There you go.
You love Bed Bath & Beyond, and especially if this is stuff that you want. If you want to get your mother, you want to get a family member, a loved one, Bed Bath & Beyond, invest in it. Make Bed Bath & Beyond pay for your holiday gifts. Make Tesla pay for that new car.
Dude, you're telling me, bro. You're telling me on that one, bro. The X is coming soon, bro.
Make Halliburton pay for your gas this month.
There you go.
Make GE pay for your electric bill this next winter, especially AEP. I mean, Chegg. I actually did that this past semester. I invested in Chegg to pay for my books and other people's books because I had so much of a great profit. So, if you've stuck to it, and you don't get looked at as a weirdo for still wearing, grandma's clothing and stuff like that, and other products. If you still have stuck with it for your 18, 25 years of life, start with that because you're comfortable with it. You've invested into it. You've literally bought it as a liability for the last 18 to 25 years. You can now purchase it as an asset to put money in your pocket. To keep on purchasing
that's a great way to think of it. Yeah, one of my friends, he asked me the same thing. He started investing, I believe, this past summer. He's like, what should I put money in first? I was like, dude, well, what's something that you spend a lot of time or a lot of money on, like a company? He's like, well, I spend a ton of time on Snapchat. And then I ended up leaving his apartment that night. I came back, I think, a couple days later. He's like, dude, Snapchat's doing well.
Yeah. I wish I'd have
But
gotten
yeah,
on Snapchat at 50.
You're telling, dude, I wish I would have gotten Snapchat early, back when I first started watching it.
God. Should have gotten Snapchat knowing that people were going to continue to take pictures of themselves instead of thinking that everybody was going to go vegan buying Beyond Meat. So
yeah, really.
If you guys want to know a lost story about this summer, don't think that humans will turn vegan.
Unfortunately, dude, yep. I had some money in it too. I had money in that and Apron. And Apron had a couple bounces here and there. Apron did well periodically, then it will drop. And then I'd get a notification like Apron's up 55% for the day. Next day it's down again. But
Blue Apron was, when it first came out, it was awesome. It caught up too much steam.
And then they got the deal with Beyond Meat, and it shot up like crazy 2 summers ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild, dude. But incredible. That's great advice. I mean, I recommend the same thing to people. That's all I have for today's podcast. Thad, I really appreciate you coming on. I mean, I haven't seen you in a few months, and it's always even great hearing from you. And now that we got the video set up, great doing this. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Yes, definitely. My Instagram, Black Enrichment. That's B1ACK.N.Rich, RICH.MEANT mint. So get that Instagram. All my links are within my bio on there. And also follow Black Enrichment on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you stream podcasts. Chris, it was an honor and a blessing. Thank you.
Dude, you're coming on soon, bro. I'm telling you, you're coming back on soon without a doubt because you preached today, man. I appreciate it. But that's all I got for today for this week's episode. Guys, if you have any questions, I'll be sure to plug all of Thad's stuff in the description. And then, as always, you can reach me at my email, justchrispodcast@gmail.com. Guys, thanks for listening, and y'all take care.